Thank you so much for being here today. We are just absolutely thrilled to be kicking off our MBA Academy series for 2024 with Trish Kenlon. She's got so much incredible information to share. So I won't spend too much time here at the beginning doing welcomes and introductions, but gotta start with something here. So if we haven't met before, hi, I am Jessica Wingert. I'm the program lead for ClimateCAP based here out of Duke's Fuqua School of Business. And we have a lot of you who are probably new to ClimateCAP. So I wanted to share a quick snapshot of ClimateCAP more broadly. We were founded with the mission to prepare tomorrow's business leaders, which are you all, today's MBA students, to understand and respond to the climate challenge by mainstreaming the climate conversation in business school. So while ClimateCAP was founded and continues to be led by us here at Fuqua, we are proud to be a global partnership of now 48 business schools. And we work really closely with the staff and faculty at those schools on a number of different initiatives, including the Summit, our MBA Fellowship, and of course, our MBA Academy Virtual Learning Series. So if you haven't yet signed up for our mailing list, please make sure you do so you can stay up to date on all these events. And I'm going to very briefly talk about a few of them right now. And I just mentioned our 48 partner schools, and I wanted to highlight some of those schools that are supporting ClimateCAP at the leading and supporting partner school level. We want to thank them for making this program and a lot of our other initiatives possible as well. And for those of you, I know we have a number of prospective MBAs on the call today as well. You can check out the list of all of our partner schools on our website and link directly to their programs to learn more. So highlighting our flagship event. Hopefully by now you've heard of the MBA Summit, and this is an event we do every year, bringing together hundreds of MBA students from around the country to network and learn about climate and business. Our next summit is being hosted by Berkeley Haas on February 28th and March 1st of 2025. And tickets for that event will go on sale in late October. So be sure you are signed up for the mailing list so you know when that is. They tend to sell out very quickly. So if you are at all interested in going, I highly recommend that you are prompt with your registration. If you're curious to know what the summit looks like, we do have the agenda and recordings from previous summits on our website. Most recent one was at Ross, Michigan. And we'll also be posting a ton of information about the confirmed speakers and the agenda for the Haas Summit in the next week or two, so you can pay attention to the website to see more about that. Next, I want to highlight the ClimateCAP MBA Fellowship, which empowers our fellows to become the next generation of climate leaders and change makers. We're thrilled to share that we're actually expanding our program to include 16 fellows for 2025, up from the 12 we've had so far. Key elements of this fellowship include learning and development sessions, networking, and self-directed project work where students design and implement their own climate action project. And then throughout the fellowship, students are receiving mentorship, attending cohort building activities virtually. You can find out more about our current cohort and previous cohorts on our website, as well as overall program information. Applications for the next cohort of fellows will be open October 3rd and run through the month of October. So please be sure to bookmark that if that's something that is of interest to you. We also will be hosting some virtual Q&A sessions in October, and we'll post information about those in our newsletter. I'd also like to extend a really quick invite to all of you to join us in New York City next Friday, September 27th, for our first ever New York Climate Week event hosted by Fordham Gabelli's School of Business at their Lincoln Center campus. We're thrilled to offer an MBA-only skill building and networking session in the midst of everything else going on at Climate Week. And so some tickets are still available, so feel free to register for that on our website, and we really hope that we get to see you there. And lastly, I want to mention that our MBA Academy Virtual Learning Series that you're here for today will continue throughout the academic year. We do have recordings of all of our previous conversations available on our website, covering a variety of climate and business topics. And they are a great kind of primer to get up to speed as you're getting back into the school year. We're also excited to share that our next speaker, Anna Robertson, the co-founder and head of content at the Cool Down, will be joining us on October 11th, and registration for that session is now available on our website. We hope you'll join us for Anna's session and many more over the coming months. But today we're going to be talking about careers and using your MBA to get the climate career that you want. So before I introduce Trish and turn this over to her, I want to briefly mention our new climate careers map that we launched earlier this month and is also available on our website. With so many opportunities to make an impact post-MBA, navigating the climate careers landscape can be really tricky, and it can be really hard to figure out what your options are, where your skills align, and where you can make your impact. So we released our climate careers map modeled after Project Drawdown's Drawdown Aligned Business Framework, and it shows the different ecosystem of climate actions needed to achieve drawdown. I want to recommend that you check it out and use this career map to see the sectors and industries where you're needed, and also see examples of real MBA roles at those sample organizations. But the reason you're all here today to hear from Trish Kenlon, today's session is going to be a slightly different format than we've done before for those of you who are returning to us from the last academic year, because after Trish's presentation, we're going to actually be breaking out into small discussion groups to discuss career resources and share those. We'll also have plenty of time for questions at the end, but if you do have any questions that come up while the session is going on, please feel free to use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to submit those questions, and we'll get to those at the end. And to introduce Trish, Trish Kenlon is the founder of Sustainable Career Pathways, a popular sustainability job search coaching consultancy and resource-packed website. She is the author of an ongoing series on sustainability skills development for GreenBiz and has appeared on fan-favorite podcasts, including Sustainability Defined and EDF's Degrees podcast. She's the co-founder of the Design Your Climate Career program at Voice Academy and has presented on best practices in the job search strategy at leading organizations across the country. And you can learn more about Trish and her work at sustainablecareerpathways.com. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Trish.
Thank you so much, Jess. Hi, everyone. It's really nice to see you all. So many familiar faces. That always makes me smile. I am going to turn off my video so we can all focus on the slides, but I will be back for the breakout sessions. All right. So let's share screen. Hold on. Sorry. Hold on for that. There we go. All right. Can you see the screen? Everything looks good? Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Awesome. Okay. So thank you very much again, Jess, for that lovely introduction. So I was originally going to start today's conversation by giving a summary of how your MBA gives you a competitive advantage in the job search. But to be honest, it was really repetitive because every single topic we're going to cover today makes it abundantly clear why MBAs stand out in the job market. So instead, we're going to start by jumping right into strategies for exploring careers while you're in school. And then we're going to talk about what the most in-demand skills are right now. And after that, we'll go through some ideas for gaining experience and networking while in school. And then we'll break out into small groups to help you get started with making new connections. After we come back from that, we'll do a group share followed by some Q&A. I try to present at a pace that makes it easy to take notes, but also be aware that the ClimateCAP team will be sending out a handout that has links to all of the resources that I'll mention here, as well as the recording that Jess mentioned. So if you missed something, we've got you covered. All right, time to explore. So I am sure that you have all heard that career exploration is an important part of the MBA experience, and it is, but the exploration journey is unique to each person. So some students have done a lot of research and reflection in advance, so they've chosen their programs because they have specific career objectives, and their school will help them to get there very efficiently, which is awesome. Their career exploration will focus sooner on connecting with the organizations that they want to work for. But many students have a general sense of direction, like climate or impact broadly, and then they go to school hoping that their program can help them sort out the details. So if that sounds more like you, know that this is totally normal. It is very okay. And there are definitely resources available to help you, which we'll talk about in a minute. But you don't have unlimited time to check out every one of the opportunities out there. The sooner you can align your experiences in school with what you want to do afterwards, the more competitive you'll be, the easier it will be to prioritize your time, and the easier your job search will be. So don't panic because there are always options if you fall deeply in love with something in your last semester. But in general, you want to set a personal date by which you're going to pick an area or two to focus on and start earnestly investing your energies in that specific direction. And Just to illustrate why that's important, here is a list of fellowship and internship application deadlines, all of which are coming up soon. So these all have information and networking sessions, as well as competitive applications processes. It would be exhausting to attend all of those events and write stellar applications to everyone. So it would save you a lot of time and help you concentrate and do well on the applications that matter most if you could eliminate some of these right off the bat based on what your goals are. So while I'm going through these, think about which ones align most closely with your goals. The ClimateCAP Fellowship, which Jess mentioned earlier, it just provides that incredible year of training and project work in climate leadership. As Jess said, it closes on October 30th. The Mosaic Fellowship in Impact Investing application closes on November 12th. The EDF Climate Corps Fellowship for Advancing Climate Solutions at large companies and other organizations around the world closes on December 22nd. Many of the internships at the big consulting firms have information sessions throughout the fall and have application deadlines in December. So it can really depend on the firm and their relationship with your school. So check with your career services team for those. And the popular Sea Life Fellowship in Renewable Energy is run twice a year and usually has an application deadline in early winter. So keep an eye out for that too. There is a longer list of more fellowships to consider in an article I wrote for GreenBiz. So I've included a link to that in the handout. So just some things to keep in mind about these. Do your research now so that you know when the application deadlines are, attend the info sessions, network with past participants to learn application tricks, and apply as soon as you can pull together an application that you're proud of. Another time-sensitive decision to make is what conferences and case competitions you want to travel for. So here are the top conferences I recommend for graduate students. New York Climate Week is next week, and there are over 1,000 events going on. So it can be really, really hard to sift through all of that and find the events that are both relevant to your interests and open to the public. So I've included a link to the best ones that I know of on the handout. And that list includes the ClimateCAP event that Jess mentioned. It is a workshop on using the En-ROADS Climate Solutions Scenario tool. So it will be incredibly helpful if you can join for that. Sustainable Brands is obviously focused on the branding and marketing side of things. Verge is the premier climate tech conference for practitioners run by GreenBiz. Duke Energy Week is focused on the energy transition. Hopefully, the ClimateCAP MBA Summit, as just mentioned, needs no introduction, but it's get your tickets as fast as you can because they do sell out. GreenBiz is the leading conference for corporate sustainability professionals, and the University of North Carolina Clean Tech Summit is obviously focused on clean tech. So the trick for most conferences is to pick the ones that you're going to as far in advance as possible so that you can reach out to the event organizers and ask about student fellowships or volunteer programs that can give you discounted tickets or special access. I have over 80 conferences listed on my website, which can help you with your planning. And if your school offers a conference that's open to the public and I don't have it listed there, please send me a note and I would be glad to add that. Case competitions are also incredible opportunities for gaining experience in networking, but they require a lot of advanced planning as well. The Rice Clean Tech Innovation Competitions application closes at midnight tonight. So if this is of interest, apply immediately after this webinar. The Hold Prize in Social Entrepreneurship is a year-long program with multiple opportunities to develop a pitch for a social venture. And many of the winning pitches have actually included a climate component as well. So it's a very cool experience. The Wharton Turner Impact Portfolio Challenge invites teams to construct an ideal portfolio for an ESG conscious investor. The Net Impact Case Competition at UC Boulder invites teams to develop sustainable business solution for corporate partners. The Kellogg Morgan Stanley Sustainable Investing Challenge has teams design a creative financial solution for an urgent social or environmental problem. And Voice Academy is hosting a climate consulting case competition with applications opening in January. So all of these have information sessions that you'll want to participate in before the application deadline. So as with the fellowship applications, do your research and don't wait until the last minute. So imagine, if you will, on the left side of the screen, the beautiful careers page that Jessica showed us earlier. But I don't know why I just cannot get Canva to keep this in here for whatever reason, but I apologize. But hopefully I have made a compelling case for narrowing down your career choices to 1 or 2 primary goals as soon as you can. So let's talk about some ways that you can learn about your options and narrow the field. Networking and informational interviews are a huge part of that, but we will cover that in just a few slides. So ClimateCAP is an incredible resource with everything from the MBA Academy webinar series to this non-existent climate careers map on the slide, to a whole host of helpful links like great podcasts and other websites that are on the resources page. So don't miss that. The Duke MBA Edge site features summaries of different careers, skill sets, and issues that are just incredibly helpful for understanding the key things to know quickly. And actually, there are a lot of universities that put career information on public-facing websites. So when you're in your breakout sessions today, make sure to ask your group if they know of any really good ones. Your career office likely has a lot of great resources for you too, but sometimes those can be a little bit hard to find on university websites. So make sure with your that you become friends with your career team and find out what they have to offer. They love to help. Talk to professors and peers about their careers and the careers of the people they know. Many of them come from industry, and so they have great relationships that you can take advantage, well, not take advantage of, but you know what I mean. Some of my favorite podcasts are EDF's Degrees and Sustainability Defined, because they are both really great for hearing personal stories about people's careers. There are some great climate communities out there like Open Door Climate, Work on Climate, and Net Impact. And there are also training organizations that have career programs and communities like the Design Your Career program I co-founded at Boys Academy and Terra Do. And last but not least, there are coaches like me. I've put as much free, helpful information on my website as possible, but I also give detailed webinars and provide one-on-one support for goal setting and resumes and things like that for the students at the universities that I partner with. So, in-demand skills. Once you figured out your career, what skills do you need? So these are some of the most in-demand business and leadership skills for climate work right now. Which skills you will lean on most heavily after school will depend on what you want to do. So for example, ESG analysts will be doing more with data than partnerships managers. But it is safe to say that most job descriptions will request a majority of the skills listed here. If you look closely, there are some really important themes to notice. So collaboration with cross-functional teams. I cannot tell you how many times I have written that in a resume bullet. Collaboration with cross-functional teams, communication, and establishing and managing stakeholder relationships are just about enabling you to identify the right people to work with and communicate with them in a way that makes things happen. Goal setting, strategy, and project and change management skills enable you to chart a course to the right destination and then implement that plan. And project finance and data analysis and visualization skills ensure that you're making good business decisions supported by reliable data. And data skills in particular are just in really high demand right now as companies are prioritizing and managing their ESG data so that they can satisfy those global reporting regulations. And the evolving regulations landscape is actually a perfect example of why research skills and the ability to continuously learn and keep up with new developments are really important too. And as more companies are starting to concentrate more on their scope 3 impact, you're also starting to see an understanding of supply chain management become more asked for too. So the great news is that these skills are all part of the core MBA skill set. And you likely already have experience with at least some of them from your work before school. So everyone on this call is already off to a great start. The sustainability specific skills and subject matter expertise is where it gets a little trickier. So the precise skills you will need after school can get very role specific very quickly. So I strongly encourage you I strongly encourage you to take a look at a lot of job descriptions and talk to a lot of professionals in the role you want to work in to make sure that you have what you need in time for graduation. But as with the previous slide, anyone working in the climate space should have at least a basic level of fluency with these crucial skills. So emissions measurement and goal setting will teach you about the KPIs organizations are managing to, and learning about emissions management, including for scope 3, helps you understand the different levers for change and their relative effectiveness. Understanding climate disclosure gives you important insight into the global regulations requirements and the dynamics of stakeholder relationships, especially investor demands. And climate risk identification and management are becoming increasingly important as investors grow more concerned about these risks, and climate scenario analyses are becoming incorporated into more reporting frameworks. So these skills combined will give you a very clear understanding of the key drivers for business decisions around climate in almost any situation. And speaking of business drivers, this is more in-demand subject matter expertise than skills, but it's important to develop your knowledge of the industry that you'd like to work in after school. So you'll need a clear understanding of the business case for sustainability for your industry of choice. This is good to know so that you understand what you'll be spending a lot of your time working on, but it's also important to know because being asked to give your summary of the business case for sustainability at a company is a very common interview question. As part of that, you should also learn about what issues are material for your industry, like palm oil for the beauty industry or water for the beverage industry. The SASB standards are a fantastic place to start learning about those. Okay, gaining experience. So after you've got a handle on what skills you'll need for the job that you want, you'll need to get clear on how your program supports the development of those skills. So different programs have different target outcomes. So some focus on preparing students for specific roles or industries, while others are more broad and teach sustainability and leadership concepts that could be applied to a wide variety of opportunities. There is no right or wrong here. There are just so many skills, topics, tools, and frameworks within climate and sustainability that it would just be impossible for any one university to have classes on them all, much less keep current on them all. But it's important to look at what skills you'll need in order to be competitive after school and what your program covers so that you can fill in any gaps if you need to. So for example, you may want to work in a corporate sustainability role, but your program doesn't offer a greenhouse gas accounting course. That is a gap you can fill really easily just by taking a course or two at the Greenhouse Gas Management Institute or at Voice Academy. But it's important to determine that as early as you can so that you can fit that into your busy schedule. You may also prefer to do some independent learning while in school. So for example, the FSA certification in corporate disclosure is a really highly regarded credential, and there's value in having that brand on your resume. So I'm writing an ongoing training series for GreenBiz that has listed over 400 options. So no matter what skill you may need to develop, there is a way for you to learn it. So throughout your time at school, you will be looking for experience that can demonstrate to employers that you have these in-demand skills. And the most important advice I can give you about experience is don't be too narrow in your definition of experience. So while it is usually more compelling to tell a hiring manager that you developed your experience in a role that you were hired and paid to do, that's not the only work that counts. So it doesn't matter if you were paid. It doesn't matter if you were in a formal employment relationship, and it doesn't matter if your strategy never saw the light of day after your presentation. What matters is how you tell your story to hiring managers about the impact that your work would have had if you'd actually been in the role, the skills that you got to practice, the tools that you got to work with, and the topics that you learned about. So think of every experience you have in school as building a collection of stories that you can use to explain to a future hiring manager how you can help them. So let's talk about some of the specific ways in which you can gain experience and have some great stories to tell. If you're working while you're in school, volunteering at work is a really powerful option, as are fellowships, internships, and pro bono consulting. School projects, capstones, or consulting practicums are great too. And even if you just pick a specific climate topic to use for a homework assignment, that can help you to learn enough about an issue to enable you to speak intelligently about it in an interview. Case competitions are great for getting experience with skills like strategy, presentation, and data analysis. Writing, be it for the school paper or even just for your LinkedIn followers, can be a powerful way to master new topics. Clubs are fantastic for developing leadership skills and learning about different industries, especially if you start your own from scratch. Many schools have a Center for Sustainable Business or similar cross-university collaborative program. See if they have research projects or events that you could support. You could also consider doing an independent research project. Imagine writing a report on the key roadblocks for issues that are material to your chosen industry and how great that would be for both learning and networking. And if you do any external training, look for programs that include meaningful projects so that you can get experience with applying the concepts that you learn. So there are a lot of different opportunities for gaining experience. Okay, networking, everyone's favorite topic. I mentioned earlier that networking can help you decide what you want to do after school. And you've probably also heard that it can help you discover and secure internships and jobs too. So it is, yes, it is absolutely something you've got to do. You will hear a lot of people say that it's important to network while in school because people love to help students and they will never want to help you as much as they do right now. And while that's definitely true, it is also important not to treat these interactions as one-off or just short-lived transactions. If you're doing it right, networking is about building authentic relationships with other human beings that will be mutually beneficial throughout your entire career. It should be a little bit like brushing your teeth, something you do regularly and is part of your natural routine, not just when you need something. Remember when you're networking that you'll be doing a lot of talking with people who either don't know you that well or are complete strangers. So manners go a long way, as do soft asks for chats, advice, connections, and recommendations. Also, get into the habit of researching your connections ahead of time so that you're making the most of your time with them and asking great questions. It's also important to network a lot in school because when you're a student, the possible reasons that you can have for reaching out to people and starting a conversation are endless. You could ask to interview them for your project, solve a problem for them as part of a practicum, share the results of your research with them, write about their work in the school paper, invite them to a panel, or ask if they'll be at an event you're attending. And of course, you can ask for career advice as well. You can find great people to network with via targeted LinkedIn searches at some of the conferences I mentioned, or by actively participating in some of the networks that you're a part of through school, like the alumni community, student clubs, and student-only networks like ClimateCAP. And don't forget your undergrad network too. So I've included a link to a great resource for finding more specific networks and communities to join on the handout. So with such a limited amount of time in school and so many opportunities available to you, it can be really overwhelming to decide which ones to take advantage of. So here are some questions you can use to decide if something's worth your time. First and foremost, is it in alignment with your goals? Don't be tempted to apply internships or jobs in your old area of expertise just because you're anxious about getting hired. Stick to the plan that brought you to grad school. Next, will it help you learn about an industry or topic that's important to your chosen career path? Will it provide you with resume building experience or help you develop a key skill? Or will it help you grow your network in the right direction? If you can answer yes to those questions, then you can be confident that whatever you're considering is a great use of your time. Shall we get to some questions?
Yeah, happy to ask. So a question, how do you turn like these phone calls, these informational phone calls into opportunities? Do you have any tips on kind of the best practices of taking that initial contact to the next level?
Sure. Well, so the nice part is that as a student, most people, they kind of know, right? You're looking for an internship, you're looking for a job after school. So for most people, they get it. But usually the signals that I like to do at the end of an informational session are, letting people know, say, oh, I'll be graduating in May, or I'll be, starting my search for an internship. Do you have any recommendations for people who I could talk to, or exciting opportunities that I should consider applying to? And I know it is a very subtle difference, but instead of making your ask, hi, nice person who just spent all this time talking to me and teaching me these great things, do you have a job for me now? It is asking the question a little bit more indirectly that lets them know that you are looking and would appreciate the assistance, but it gives them that kind of social out. So if they don't have an opportunity for you, or maybe they don't feel comfortable referring you at this point in your relationship, it's a less complicated conversation. And sometimes they also have really fantastic research, like, oh my gosh, you should apply to this fellowship, it's incredible, or oh, I'd be so happy to refer you to our internship program. So that's one of the techniques that I recommend when you're a student and you're having those delicate conversations.
What about, you mentioned earlier you were chatting about world when you were an MBA, and it was a different world when I was an MBA as well. What are some of the trends you've seen as far as like the hiring around these climate jobs? How has that changed in recent years? And do you have any ideas of what that might look like a year or two from now when some of these students are graduating?
Yeah, I mean, the exciting thing is how many fellowships I had on that screen, right? Like these are established, quality, wonderful programs that are all opportunities that, just everybody just knows about now and you can apply to. So you are starting to see more formal offerings that are coming out at very specific times of year. I would say back when I was getting my MBA, I would say something could show up at any moment, at any time. So just keep your eyes out. Even a week before graduation, you could find your job at that point. There is no season for recruiting. And still that's somewhat true, right? In that you could be looking, when you're looking for your full-time job, you could get it. If you're really, really lucky, you could get it, at the end of your summer internship. That is starting to happen more frequently now than it did when I was in school. But yeah, it's just nice to see things are becoming more formalized. There are more opportunities like that, but it's certainly not to the same degree as like if you were working for a traditional consulting role or traditional banking role where, you go, there is exactly a date by which you must have all your applications in. You go and you have your internship and you must get that offer so that you can be, set by the end of your summer. That's not quite as common, but it is starting to happen more, which is actually kind of exciting.
Yes. I'm going to ask one last question and then I'm going to wrap it up. But we had a question come in around decoding job descriptions. So do you have any tips for kind of seeing what's in those job descriptions and figuring out how to translate that to your own experience and really understand what they're looking for?
So I have entire webinars on this topic, so I'm going to try to keep it brief. So I would say the key with job descriptions are, number one, understand that many are written by a committee. It's a team effort. And so sometimes the most important thing that they're looking for is not obvious. And also that they might be asking for a wide variety of skills, again, some of which are more relevant than others. So I would say a really helpful thing to do is to look at a bunch for a similar role, look for themes, look for patterns, and try to say, okay, what is it that's really needed here? And then once you've kind of got your hypothesis in place, start networking and talking to people who work in the space to say, do I really need that skill? Or is that like something I can learn on the job? Or is that, something that I just really need to be investing my time in right now to make sure that I'm competitive when it's time to apply to positions. So sorry, that's a really high level way to do it, but that's the 2-minute version.
Well, thank you. With that, we're going to wrap up, and I just want to first by saying thank you, Trish, for that incredible conversation and sharing your expertise with our audience today. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I know that the tips and tools and resources you shared have given everyone a lot to think about as they kind of kick off the school year. And as we mentioned earlier, we will be sending out a follow-up email today showing you where the recording will be and also with a handout that Trish put together with a lot of the resources we discussed. I'd also like to thank all of our attendees for joining us today. As a reminder, there's a lot of different ways to get involved with ClimateCAP, so please make sure you're signed up for our newsletter to stay up to date on climate MBA news, events, and more. We've also got the information here about our next MBA Academy session on the slide, and we really hope to see you there or at a future ClimateCAP event. So again, thanks, Trish. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you all soon.
Thank you all so much.